21 years of teaching experience along with an industry experience. And from last 14 years, he is handling various positions in the institute like a NBA coordinator, HOD, so many places he handled. And he has published more than 30 to 40 publications. And he's also received some awards funding from various agencies. So now I will request, along with this, one more I need to reintroduce him, that he has also having some courses, online courses like Udemy courses and Coursera courses on MATLAB, and he's a professional trainer for this computational tool MATLAB. And this is what is a brief introduction I told, but he has having a huge contribution in his field. So now I request Vaibhav Endre sir to start his session.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Deshmukh sir. I feel I am audible.
Yeah, you are audible. If you could switch off your camera, it will be better, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Participants.
Yeah. You are audible. You can start your session.
Yeah, thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thanks Government College of Engineering, Karad, Dr. Deshmukh sir, and his entire team for providing me this opportunity to be the part of this course as a resource person, a faculty development program on outcome-based education, a step towards excellence, organized under AICT Margadarshan scheme. I would like to also thanks all the principals of Menti institutes who are the coordinating this event under AICT Margadarshan scheme. The entire technical team, Dr. Murik and his team, I would like to thank them for this particular course. Dear participants, we are facing a pandemic condition of COVID-19, and we are experiencing the longest lockdown of our life. But this is an opportunity to upgrade ourselves, to learn the new things, and this is the reason why this kind of FDP received a huge response. More than 3,000 participants. I guess they are presently going through this particular course. Today my topic is faculty information and contribution, and those who are preparing for say in an NBA or the accreditation process, they are quite aware that this is criteria number 5, and I'm going to discuss detail this faculty information and contribution in today's session. This is a brief outline of my presentation. I will begin my presentation by going through a role of faculty. Being we all are faculties, we really understand what is a role that we are playing in our daily life. But what are the key roles of faculty which is expected from outcome-based education system? That I'm going to discuss in detail. What are the outcomes expected from the faculty by the institute or by the accreditation board? That also I'm going to discuss in detail. And then I will focus on my topic, that is criteria number 5, faculty information and contribution. Initially, I will discuss some of the norms which are been specified by National Board of Accreditation related to the faculty information and contribution. And then I will go on discussing in detail all the sub points under criteria 5 by 3 different aspects. The first is preparation of SCR, that is your self-assessment report. So what precautions you should take while entering the data in self-assessment report, that I'm going to cover. Apart from that, what are the NBA evaluators' viewpoints? When the evaluation committee is going to visit your institute for evaluation of the department, then what are their viewpoints and what kind of documental evidence you should provide for each and every sub points of criteria 5, that I'm going to discuss in more detail. So this is what an outline of my today's presentation. Now I would like to begin my session with an opening remark that India's higher technical education system is on the threshold of major institutional reforms. And we are experiencing these institutional reforms through various policies given by All India Council for Technical Education, that is AICT. You might have received in last 1 year various policies from the AICT, the policies related to reforms in the examination, the policies related to the internship, even the policies related to the training of teachers or the faculties of higher technical education. So it's a great time that we are entering into a new era of institutional reforms for technical education system. No doubt the focus is on outcome-based education, and that is the reason why the topic chosen for this faculty development program is an outcome-based education. So it is the right time to envision a bright future and create the desired ecosystem to develop the backbone of the education system, that is the faculty of 21st century in India. You, me, and all the participants present over in this workshop, they belongs to the category of faculties from the technical education system, and it's right time to discuss few more things related to the faculty of the technical education system. So with this opening remark, I will begin my session to discuss first with the role of the faculty. Now we are playing this role in our daily life, and there is nothing new to tell you about this particular role, but I'm just taking a quick review what roles that we are playing as a faculty. We are resource providers, we are counselor, we are assessor, we are facilitator, we monitor the things, so we are monitor, we mentor the students, we are experimenter, we play a role model, we are a role model for our students, we do research, so we are a researcher, and we work as a coordinator. So it's a multifaceted personality a faculty is being, and so many activities we do by playing these roles. The activities like enhance learner professional skill, adopt learner-centric methodology, innovate interesting learning methodology, induce active participation of learners, brief theory of multi-intelligence skills in the class, create awareness assessment with well-defined rubrics, involve learners in real-time projects, and ensure overall development of the learner. So these are the different activities that we are doing as a role of the faculty, and we need to prove every day on some of the role which is defined over here. These are the common terminologies for the definition of the role of the faculty, but apart from that, as far as the outcome-based education is concerned, we need to play some key roles as a faculty. So few of them, they are highlighted over here. What is expected from outcome-based education? The first emphasis is given since last many years from the faculty is the qualification of the faculty. We have started earlier from the basic qualification of undergraduate, then postgraduate, and now everybody is doing PhD or might have completed their PhD to achieve the qualification in the education system. Now, qualification is important, no doubt, but beyond the qualification, the quality in the qualification is really important, because now everybody is doing PhD or might have completed the PhD. Getting a degree certificate is not merely important, but maintaining the quality while earning this qualification is really important, because you can understand the situation. After 5 years, almost every department may carry more than 80 to 90% doctorates, and their qualification is not going to be much important, but what quality you have maintained in order to earn that qualification is expected from the outcome-based education system. Apart from the qualification, there is another aspect that is called as relationship with the institution. Now, in order to satisfy all the norms of outcome-based education, faculty should have a good relationship with the institution in which they are working presently. Definitely, this relationship is a bilateral process. That means you should maintain a good relationship. At the same time, the institute also take care of the faculty. Institute also provide all the supports for the enhancement of the abilities of the faculty, and that's it's a bilateral process. So that if you have a good relationship with the institute, no doubt you will work for all the policies which are decided by the institutes thoroughly, and the outcome-based education will be achieved through this particular relationship. Another important aspect expected from the outcome-based education is continuing concern with teaching learning process. So a faculty should have this concern, a continuing concern with the teaching learning process. Your institute or your department might have designed some teaching learning process. You should have a faith in your processes. You should follow your teaching learning process. on a regular mode, you should suggest some innovations in your teaching learning process, and you should involve in a complete teaching learning process. Then and then only, what are the targets of that teaching learning process, which is expected in outcome based education, will get satisfied from that particular faculty. Apart from that, you should engage in knowledge production. Now, knowledge production is nothing but the activities related to research and development. So what knowledge that you have earned, you can deliver it in terms of a production by doing research and development activity. No doubt we are going to discuss in more detail about research and development activity in our next session, but you should engage yourself in knowledge production. That is one of the expectations from the outcome based education. Another very important aspect that a faculty should follow is a continuous learning. A faculty should be a continuous learner. He should go on learning, and then only he could able to improve himself in order to satisfy the expectations from the outcome based education. So in all, a good instructional situation is needed for the teachers to be effective and students to learn well. So these are some outcomes expected from the faculty as outcome-based education system is concerned. So related to this continuous learning, I remember a quote from Sir William Osler, that it goes without saying that no man can teach successfully who is not at the same time a student. And that is the reason, being a faculty, we are attending this faculty development program as a student and try to learn the concepts related to the outcome-based education. Now, apart from outcome-based system, as an institute where you are working, or as an accreditation body, or as an monitoring body like an All India Council for Technical Education, National Board of Accreditation, and your institute, what it actually expect from the faculty. So I can categorize these outcomes expected from the faculty in various categories. And no doubt, all these outcomes which I have mentioned over here, they are somehow linked with the accreditation process, which I'm going to explain in my next part of the presentation. So the first outcome which is expected from the faculty is teaching and learning. No doubt it is an integral part of our life that we are involved in the process of teaching and learning. But what is expected beyond a normal teaching and learning, that we should give some innovations in the teaching learning process. We should not follow a conventional teaching learning as it is expected even in the outcome-based education, that our teaching learning process should be a learner-centric, and you need to devise some innovation methodologies for this teaching learning process. You should create some best practices of your department by designing some new experiments, by working with virtual labs kind of concepts, so to enhance a better teaching learning process. A faculty should have a sound understanding of outcome-based education, and by attending this kind of faculty development program, definitely we will enhance our understanding related to outcome-based education. So that is the basic teaching and learning process. What else is expected from the faculty? Faculty should do the knowledge enhancement programs. They should attend the knowledge enhancement program. The knowledge enhancement programs expected, they are faculty development program greater than 5 days, because there are certain weightage in the accreditation process for FDPs greater than 5 days. The faculty should attend the short-term training program for our FDPs of 2 to 5 days. A certain weightage is given for the accreditation process for 2 to 5 days programs also. Faculty should also attend the MOOCs programs available on Swayam or NPTEL port, or there are some other MOOCs platform like Udemy or Coursera, where you can do some courses related to enhancing your skills. So this knowledge enhancement programs, you should at least attend minimum 2 programs in a year, which are having a duration more than 5 days, or from 2 to 5 days. Another aspect which is expected from the faculty is that the faculty should do academic research. Now, what is expected in academic research? No doubt he should write some research articles and try to publish these research articles in some good index journals. Index journals are the journals which are reputed, having good impact factor, the journals which are approved by SCI, that is Science Citation Index or Science Citation Index Expanded, the journals which are approved by Scopus or the UGC listed. Faculty should involve themselves in writing the books, book chapters, or publishing the monograms. If the faculty has completed their PhD, then they should play the role of PhD guidance to another faculties. So in academic research, these three aspects are expected: the publications of research articles, publications of books, book chapter, monograms, and the guidance towards PhD student. Apart from academic research, one should involve himself in sponsored research. The sponsored research, we can divide into two categories: research projects from industry and research projects from some reputed research organizations. So faculty should submit the research proposals to well-known research organizations, to the industries nearer to their institute, and get some funded projects over here for industry for as a sponsored research. Apart from that, the outcome of the research is nothing but the product development or the development activities. So faculty, what is expected from the faculty as a development activities, they should involve themselves in the product development activity. They should try to design some research laboratories for their department, to start some research laboratories on the recent topics related to the field in which the department is working. So product development and research laboratory, it is expected that at least 50% faculty should involve from the department in such activities. But if you look at the instructional material and working models, no doubt 100% faculties of the department should contribute in designing the instructional material for the students and the designing of different working models in order to make the teaching learning process very simple. So that is what the development activities. Apart from that, faculty should do a consultancy from the industry. We will see this consultancy point in more detail while understanding the sub point of criteria number 5. Apart from that, what is expected from the faculty is interaction with the outside world. It is also a very important part that faculty should go on interacting with the outside world. The interaction could be in terms of collaborative research, in terms of collaborative research publications, in terms of giving invited speaker as an invited speaker in different sessions conducted by the different organizations. So this way, faculty should involve themselves in interacting with the outside world. No doubt I have enlisted so many things as the outcomes expected from the faculty, but one common question that a faculty asks, that how I can do all these activities at a time. So do you remember that it is not expected that you should do all these activities at a one time. No doubt our contribution is expected in more in teaching, learning and process. So we should focus more on teaching and learning process, but definitely we have some time in order to attain the knowledge enhancement program, in order to do at least one good publication in a year, in one particular academic year as an academic research contribution. Even though at the initial part you could not able to write a good proposal for getting a sponsored research, you can try it. Slowly every year you decide that you are going to add one feather from all these outcomes on your crown, and slowly you can go and develop your own curriculum vitae or your own resume by putting all these particular activities over there. So this is what from the faculty as a is concerned. Now I'm coming down towards NBA criteria. Criteria 5 is the target that I'm going to achieve through this session, and criteria 5 is faculty information and contribution. You might have seen this table in the earlier presentations also. Once again, I'm repeating here the evaluation marks patterns for 9 various criterias of the NBA. Total 1000 marks are there, and we can understand for faculty information and contribution, the highest marks are given, that is 200 marks are given for this particular criteria. So you can understand the importance of this criteria is, as far as the NBA process is concerned, the highest weightage is given for this criteria. It is not only the importance from the NBA point of view, but this criteria is going to help to develop a faculty of technical education system, and therefore also there's another important for this particular criteria, that this is going to help the development of the faculty by all the respects. Now coming down to faculty information and contribution criteria 5, these are the sub points or the sub criteria points available from the criteria number 5. I can go on explaining both for tier 2 institutions as well as 1 institutions, because there's a slight difference between tier 2 and tier 1 institution. I hope the audience is very well clear about tier 2 and tier 1 institutions, which might have covered in earlier sessions. Just to give a brief, all affiliated colleges or affiliated institutions to any university, they come under tier 2 category, and all autonomous institutes, they come under tier 1 category. So this is what the criteria, sub criteria summary for criteria 5 for tier 2 institutes. There are 9 sub points for criteria 5, which starts from student faculty ratio, faculty cadre proportion, faculty qualification, faculty retention, innovations by the faculty in teaching learning, faculty as a participants in faculty development, training activities, STTPs, research and development, faculty performance appraisal and development system, visiting adjunct emeritus faculty, etc. And on the right side, you can see the weightage that is given for each and every sub point, making a total of 200 points for criteria number 5. Now, you might have understood now what are the outcomes that I have explained earlier in this session. All outcomes, they are as it is present in the sub criteria defined by the criteria number 5 as a faculty information and contribution. If I focus on tier 1 institute, there is a slight difference between tier 2 and tier 1 institutes. In tier 1, there are 10 sub points, where there are tier 2, there are only 9 sub points. All rest of the points are similar, but only there's one additional point called as point 5.5, which is focusing on faculty competencies in correlation to program specific criteria, and 10 marks are given for this particular sub point. As far as the distribution of the marks is concerned, there's a slight change between tier 2 and tier 1, like 5.2, 5.3 and 5.4. They have 25 marks of weightage in tier 2 institutions, whereas their weightage has been reduced in tier 1 institution, being it is expected that the tier 1 institutions are already maintaining the faculty cadre ratio or for the faculty qualification, and the retention is quite good for tier 1 institutions. So this reduction in the marks, it has been added into point 5.8, that is research and development. So for development institutions, there are, whereas for tier 1 institutions, 75 marks are given for research and development activity. So from NBA point of view, it is also expected that the tier 1 institute should do more research and development as compared to tier 2 institutions. It is all depends upon the facilities which are available for tier 1 institutions. So this is what a summary of sub criteria available in criteria number 5. Now slowly we will try to understand the details related to norms which you need to understand for criteria number 5. Now there are some basic norms. You might have understood these norms in the initial discussion of accreditation process. I'm repeating this, but some of the points from the manual of the NBA. These norms are: academic year is considered from 1st July to 30th of June. As we are all aware, we follow the same academic year for the consideration. But while entering the data related to the faculty contribution, we should ensure that our academic year should start from the 1st July and should end by 30th June of that academic year. If you are submitting your self-assessment report before 30th of the September, the current academic year, which is mentioned as CAY, this current academic year shall be previous academic year. For example, if you are submitting your SAR before 30th September of 2020, no doubt your current academic year you need to consider as academic year 2019-20. But if you are submitting your self-assessment report after 30th of the September, For the same example, your current academic year will become academic year 19-20-21. That is your present academic year. So these are the definitions I already mentioned. CAY stands for current academic year. CAY M1 stands for current academic year minus 1. And current academic year minus 2, because for all faculty contribution purpose, we require the data of last 3 academic years, CAY, CAY M1 and CAY M2. To know few more norms, I want to process is concerned. You might be why I want to highlight to 5. I am going to discuss in this. The exam will be a national. So I'm discussing for tier. So for tier 2 institutions, programs score minimum 600 marks out of 1000 marks. Then and then only the committee is going to award the accreditation for 3 years to your department. Apart from that, the second criteria, you should ensure that the criteria 5, at least you should earn 40% of the marks. So you can understand the importance of criteria 5, what we are discussing right now. Even though you are scoring 600 marks altogether in the complete accreditation process, but if you could not able to get 40% marks, 40% marks for tier 2 institutes are 80 marks out of 200. If you could not able to score that marks, you will not be eligible for getting accreditation for 3 years. No doubt this criteria is quite known to you regarding to admission, that the admission in your program should be greater than 50% and overall admissions of the institute should be greater than 50%. Again, the things related to criteria 5, that at least there should be one professor or one associate professor on regular basis with PhD degree for current academic year and CAY M1. So you can see that here it is expected only for 2 years, CAY and CAY M1. Another important aspect related to criteria 5 is that the student faculty ratio should be 1:25. If it is more than 1:25, you will not be eligible for accreditation process. And you might be aware that in filling the pre-qualifier norms, you have to ensure that your student faculty ratio should be less than 1:25 if you are a tier 2 institution. Another important aspect which is also related to criteria 5 is number of PhD available in the department should be greater than or equal to 10% of the required number of faculty for CAY and CAY M1. So point number 4 and point number 6 is counted only for current academic year and CAY M1, that is previous academic year. So you can number 2, point number 4 and point number 5 and point number 6. All they are related to criteria 5 and they are related to faculty information and contribution. So therefore, this particular criteria is more important as far as the accreditation process is concerned. I should also tell you the norms for accreditation for 6 years for tier 2. You will get a 6 years of accreditation if your program scores minimum 750 marks out of 1000 marks. Apart from that, you need to ensure 60% of the marks at least from criteria number 4, 5 and 6. Earlier it was 40% only for criteria 5. Now it is 60% for criteria number 4, 5 as well as 6. Admissions to the program should be greater than 75% and at the institute level it should be greater than 50%. Little change for 6 years accreditation, at least 2 professors or 1 professor and 1 associate professor on regular basis with PhD degree for CAY and CAY M1. Student faculty ratio expected is 1:15 if you want an accreditation for 6 years. And the number of PhD available in the department should be greater than or equal to 30% of the required number of faculties for CAY and CAY M1. So it is only 10% for 3 years and it is 30% for 6 years accreditation. And one additional norm which is required for 6-year accreditation is that the head of the department of that program should have a PhD degree for current academic year. So these are the norms that I must tell you for accreditations for 3 years as well as 6 years for tier 2 institutions. I have not included the things for tier 1 institutions at this moment for the norms, but you might have aware that in tier 1 institutions, instead of giving the marks, the grading is given, and based upon that grading, the criteria which are earning more than 75% of the marks will be considered for most of the cases as far as criteria 5 is concerned. So this is what the norms that are expected as far as the accreditation process is concerned. Now it's time to begin.
Hello.
With
Vaibhav,
beginning,
can you
I'm
hear?
going to start the first part. Yes, yes, yeah,
So actually, is it okay, your sound and everything?
yeah. Is it okay from my side?
Yeah, your side it is okay. I don't have any problem. But I thought it somewhere maybe in a. Okay. Okay, you can continue, sir. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So let us begin with the first point, that is 5.1 student faculty ratio. As I already mentioned in my earlier outline, that every sub point now I'm going to explain from 3 different aspects: what the contents you should write in assessment report, what precautions rather you have to take while writing the things in SAR. Secondly, what are the expectations from the evaluation committee, evaluation guidelines, and what different documents you should prepare for each and every sub point that I'm going to discuss over here. So the first point is 5.1 student faculty ratio. It has 20 marks both in tier 1 as well as tier 2 kind of institutions. Now what is expected if you go through the manual, all these details you'll find out in the manual. I'm going to discuss some important aspects over here only. Formula based evaluation is there for first 4 points: 5.1, 5.2, 5.3 and 5.4. All points I'm going to explain them based upon whatever the formulas which are available over there. I forgot to mention one very important point before I'm going to my first 5.1 part. Once you start writing the criteria number 5, at the beginning of the criteria number 5, this particular table you need to fill as a faculty information. Now this table is very, very important because those faculty members who might have recently submitted their self-assessment report, NB has adopted a complete online process of submission of self-assessment report. In that online process, whatever the data that you are going to enter, the points in which they are based upon the formulas, the calculation is done automatically by the software available with the NBA. So therefore, to enter the data, you need to take utmost care that while entering the data, the calculations, when they did automatically, you need to verify with your manual calculations, and then you need to revise the data which you have entered in that particular criteria. So from that point of view, this table for faculty information is very, very important because it covers the aspects related to name of the faculty member, degree, that the highest degree that faculty has achieved, from which university, year of attaining the higher qualification, association with the institution, designation, date on which it is designated as a professor or associate professor, date of joining the institute, department, specialization, research paper publications, PhD guidance, faculty receiving PhD during the assessment year or not, whether the faculty is currently associated with the department. If it is not currently associated, what is the date of leaving of that faculty, and then the nature of association, whether it is a regular faculty or a contractual faculty. Sub point 5.1 to 5.4 will get automatically calculated in the self-assessment report based upon the data that you are entering in this particular table. Now, what precaution you should take while entering this data? You should ensure the date of joining of the faculty and the date of leaving of the faculty if the faculty is not currently associated with your institute. For tier 2 institution, this is a common problem that the faculty is not uh, currently associated. If the faculty is not currently associated, you should ensure the date of leaving properly in this particular table. There are certain norms you must remember that the date of job will be considered that academic year if the faculty has joined before 31st August of that academic year. And he must continue in that same institute till 30th of April of the same academic year. Then and then only that faculty will be counted for the calculation purpose. So while entering the things in this particular data, you should also ensure a proper date of joining and date of leaving of that particular faculty. Sometimes it also happens related to the point that year of attaining the higher qualification. Suppose you are entering the data related to professor or associate professor, it might happen that its date of attaining the higher qualification and the date on which he is designated as associate professor and professor might be different. So you need to ensure that the faculty which is promoted as a professor definitely after the completion of its highest degree as a PhD only. So you should take care all the aspects of this table very well, verify once again with the formulas related to 5.1 to 5.4, which I'm going to discuss in my next session, and then you can update over here. Another important aspect while filling this particular table, you have to fill the data of faculties for last 3 academic years, CAY, CAY M1 and CAY M2 in one particular table. So that is what faculty information table. Now we will begin with the first point, 5.1, that is student faculty ratio. It has 20 marks in tier 1 as well as tier 2 institutions. Now there's a straightforward formula, number of students, because we want to calculate student faculty ratio, so we require a student strength as well as faculty strength. So student strength is calculated by using the formula, number of students is equal to sanction intake plus actual admitted lateral entry student. Lateral entry is considered at the second year from direct second year admissions. The above data to be provided considering all the undergraduate and postgraduate programs available in the department. Suppose the department has one undergraduate program and 2 postgraduate programs, but the department is applying only for undergraduate program accreditation, but still in this table, the department should enter the student strength for UG as well as PG programs which are available in the department. Here S stands for the number of students in the department, where U1, U2, U3 are the student strength at second, third and final year respectively. We are not considering the student strength at the first year as well as the fact. Even P2 is a sanction intake for postgraduate program. And F is the total number of faculty members available in the department, excluding first year faculty. Because your student strength you are going to consider only for department, excluding first year, therefore the faculty members also you should consider excluding first year faculty. Now here there are some problems while considering the faculty. If the faculty of the department is taking fractional load in another department, in that case the faculty will be counted for the amount or the percentage of fractional load that he is taking. For example, a professor is taking 8 hours load and 4 hours load is taking in the department where the accreditation has been applied, and 4 hours load is taking in another department. The faculty will be considered as a 50% or 0.5 faculty present for the calculation of the faculties. As far as filling the data in self-assessment report, that is not going to really count, but during the visit, definitely this particular thing will get counted. Now I'm giving one example how this student strength is calculated and how this student faculty ratio is calculated. I have assumed in this example that the department is having one undergraduate program with 120 intake. The department is having one postgraduate program with 24 intake, and the calculation is done in such a way that for current academic year, the strength of students at the second year is 120 plus 12. Plus 12 is the lateral entry that I have assumed as per the current criteria that 10% of the lateral entry is allowed as far as the last academic year is concerned. So that is the reason I have considered 120 plus 12. My student strength becomes 132. If I refer the case of CAY M1, in this case, my current intake for the first year is 120, but you will find out that the figure is 23 present over here. Actually, for CAY M1, there is a criteria of 20% lateral entry. So as per 20% lateral entry, I should take 24 figure over here. But specifically tier 2 institution problems of admissions, it might be the case that in first year, instead of 120, only 110 students got admitted to your program. So there's a vacancy of 10 students which is carried forward into the second year. At second year level, some of the students might have done a branch transfer process and might have been transferred from your program to another program. Let us take an example that 2 students have migrated from your program. Then earlier 10 vacancy, now it becomes a vacancy of 12 students. This 12 plus additional 24 is the lateral entry available for your program at the second year level. So 24 plus 12, so it is going to be 36. And suppose at second year level, out of 36, only 35 admissions are done. Then out of that 35, first you have satisfied the number 12, which is the vacancy created in 120 NTech, and then from rest of the 24 lateral entry, you could able to manage only 23 admissions. That's why the figure will become 120 plus 23, that is 140. I hope you might have Deshmukh sir, is there any audio problem from my side? Deshmukh sir, am I audible?
Yes, sir. There is no problem.
There's no problem because in chat box you are seeing some message that I'm not audible.
That may be issue at network end. Their
Okay.
network end.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I hope you might have understand how to calculate a student's strength. You can also see that the student strength calculated for CAY M2 in second year, that is 120 plus 20 as 140, is carry forwarded for CAY M1 in the third year, and the same is carry forwarded for final year. No doubt, this student strength calculation you do not have to do in criteria 5. You might have already done it in criteria 4, and the online process of self-assessment report is going to take this student strength directly from criteria 4. But just for understanding purpose, I have tried to explain it in criteria number 5. You can go on entering the number of faculty available and you can calculate the student faculty ratio for every academic year, and finally take the average of this SFR as the final student faculty ratio, which will be automatically calculated by the software of self-assessment report provided by the NBA. So this is what from SAR point of view. Now, as far as evaluation guidelines are concerned, how the marks are given for this first sub criteria, that is student faculty ratio. Marks to be given proportionally from maximum of 20 to a minimum of 10 for average SFR between 15:1 to 25:1, and 0 for average SFR higher than 25:1. So you can see in this table, say if your SFR is greater than 25, you will get 0 marks. Rather, you might have quite aware that if your SFR is greater than 25%, 25:1, sorry, then you are not eligible for the accreditation process. These marks are given proportionally. If your SFR is somewhere 16, then you will get 19 marks. If it is somewhere between 18, you will get 17 marks. Once again, I would like to remind you that if you want an accreditation for 3 years, your SFR should be 25:1. And if you want an accreditation for 6 years, your SFR should be 15:1. Now, what exhibits or contexts which will be observed or assessed by the evaluation committee during the visit of accreditation? The SFR is to be verified considering the faculty of the entire department. So faculty for undergraduate, faculty for postgraduate, faculty who is taking partial load in the other department, faculty who is taking partial load in the first year department, excluding a full-time first year faculty if it is available anywhere. Now, the number of regular faculty calculation is considered as by looking at the following documents at the institute level. The department should maintain a separate file for every faculty member, which may consist of the faculty appointment letter given by the institute. From this appointment letter, the faculty joining report, even though it is not mentioned over here, because joining report is very important in order to verify the date of joining of that particular faculty in the institute. Apart from that, the committee will also verify the timetable subject allocation file of the department to ensure whether that faculty has taken a load in that particular department in that academic year or not. No doubt the salary statements is also verified by the faculty, for the faculty, and in some cases the service book record, which is containing all these particular details, will also be verified for to verify the details of the faculty by the evaluation committee. Number of student calculation as mentioned in the SAR, as I already mentioned, they are directly taken from criteria number 4. But what documental evidence you should provide for number of student calculation? The authentic documental proof that you should have is the authenticated copy of Director of Technical Education after the completion of your admission process at first year level as well as at the second year level. Every institute is receiving a authenticated copy of the admitted students from the DTE of their respective region, and this is going to be a proof which will be verified the assessment committee to ensure the number of students as your intake, as the vacancies in the second year, the branch transfer proofs, and the lateral entry figures. Apart from that, the faculty qualification as per AICTE guidelines. So when you are maintaining a separate file for every faculty, the file should have the certificate, qualification certificate for BTech, for MTech, as well as for PhD if the faculty has PhD. For all professors and associate professors, they are going to verify definitely their PhD degree certificate and their date of completion of their PhD. It is expected that minimum 75% should be a regular faculty and the remaining shall be contractual faculty as per the AICTE norms and standards. As far as the definition of regular and contractual faculty should be on a full-time role of the institutes and should have joined before 31st of August and should continue till 30th of April of the same academic year. Even contractual faculty should remain present for both the semesters and will take the full load at the department as per the norms and standards defined by the AICTE. So, but the flexibility is given that the institute should have a 75% regular faculties and remaining 25% at the. So the definition of the contractual faculty, doing away with the terminology of visiting faculty, adjunct faculty, or whatsoever, who has taught for 2 consecutive semesters in the corresponding academic year on full-time basis, and that shall be considered for the purpose of calculation of student-faculty ratio, which I already mentioned earlier. Now, the faculty to counted as a regular faculty, once again, I'm highlighting this point. Twice or thrice I might have told this point, but once again, I would like to highlight that the faculty has joined before or on 31st August of the same year and continued with 30th April of the subsequent year. Unfortunately, if the date of joining of the faculty is 1st September, or the faculty might have relieved from the institute before 30th of April, the faculty will not be considered for counting in student-faculty ratio. Then another important aspect as far as PhD faculties are concerned, the PhD faculty count requirement shall be calculated on pro rata basis with at least 75% to be the part of the regular faculty and remaining being the part of the contractual faculty, if any. So same condition of regular and contractual faculty is also applicable for number of PhD faculties. The available and required number of PhDs in the department would be calculated on the average basis for previous 2 academic years, including CAY. I have already mentioned this point earlier. And this number should be truncated to its nearest lower integer. This is also very important thing as far as the calculations of number of professors and associate professors are concerned. Whatever the formula with which, if the value is coming, say 1.45 or 1.85, it will be truncated to its nearest lowest integer, that it will become 1. And in that case, for tier 2 institutions, it becomes very simple to satisfy the norms of number of professors and associate professors. Another important thing is that by mistake, if any of your faculty is designated as a lecturer, will not be counted even if having ME or MTech degree. So you need to ensure that all faculties what you are entering in the faculty information table, the designation should be assistant professor and above. If you have any kind of order given to that faculty earlier as a lecturer, that is not being considered by the NBA, and it is not a valid faculty in the count of the number of faculties. I hope you might have understood all the aspects of calculations of student faculty ratio, the evaluation guidelines, the documents that you want to maintain. Now from 5.1, we will move towards 5.2, that is faculty cadre proportion. Straightforward formula for faculty cadre proportion. There are 25 marks for tier 2 institutions and 20 marks for tier 1 institutions. Formula is given as cadre ratio is AF1 upon RF. AF is available faculty, RF is required faculty. 1 stands for professor, 2 stands for associate professor, and 3 stands for assistant professor. 100% weightage for professor, 60% weightage for associate professor, 40% weightage for assistant professor. And the factor for multiplication is 12.5, being 25 marks for tier 2 institution. If you are scoring 0 marks in AF1 and AF2, if you are scoring 0 marks in AF1 and AF2, you will not get any marks in this particular 5.2 faculty cadre ratio. Maximum marks, they are limited to 25. The cadre proportion that you should satisfy is 1:2, 2:6, 1 professor, 2 associate professor, and 6 assistant professor for an intake of 60, where the total number of students becomes 180. These are some of the examples given over here. Looking at the time constraints, you may refer these examples. They are also available in the NBA guidelines. What they try to show through these examples is that for some of the tier 2 institutions, they could not able to satisfy the norms of professor and associate professor. Then they go on increasing the numbers of assistant professors. But still, if you go on increasing the numbers in assistant professor, and if you don't have sufficient professor and associate professors, you could not able to get the 25 marks for this criteria. Your marks will be very, very less if you do not have professor and associate professor in the department. There is a little change in the formula for tier 1 institutions. This is because the marks weightage is given is only 20. So multiplication factor from 12.5, it has been changed to 10. Rest of the things are same. And as I already mentioned that the calculations are done automatically by the self-assessment report based upon the data that you have entered in the faculty information table. So what is observed as an evaluation guidelines for 5.2, faculty qualification and experience required for cadre post shall be considered as per AICTE norms and guidelines. Cadre-wise number of faculty available, faculty qualification and experience and eligibility, their appointment and promotion orders, cadre-wise number of faculty required as per AICTE guidelines. So actually the same documents which you might have presented in 5.1, same are required for 5.2, specifically for professors and associate professors. Then 5.3 is faculty qualification, where 25 marks are there for tier 2 institutions and 20 marks are there for tier 1 institution. And therefore, in the formula also the multiplication factor is 2.5 for tier 2 and 2.0 for tier 1. In qualification, the highest weightage, 100% weightage is given for X, where X is number of regular faculty with PhD and Y is the number of regular faculty with MTech. So 10 times X plus 4 times Y, and the number of regular faculty required to comply is calculated as far as 1:20 student faculty ratio. It is not calculated based upon the actual student faculty ratio of the department, but for standardization purpose, it has been considered as 1:20, and you need to provide all the documentary evidence for faculty qualifications, that their degree certificates of MTech and PhD. 5.4 is faculty retention, and there are 25 marks for tier 2 institutions and 10 marks for tier 1 institutions. The retention of the calculated based upon it is available in you need to take the list of faculty CAY M2 as a base year. You need to show how many faculties are continued for CAY M1 and how many faculties are continued for CAY, that is the current academic year. If the percentage is greater than 90%, you will get 100% marks, that is 25 marks. If your percentage of faculty retention is less than 50%, you will get 0 marks for this particular subpoint. Now, what is expected as an evaluation guideline? Definitely the faculty date of joining, and apart from that, the committee is going to verify at least 3 months salary record, salary statement for each assessment years, and these 3 months are generally July, April and May. So the salary statements of these 3 months for all assessment years will be verified for every faculty or for the sample faculty for this faculty retention criteria. So that's why once again I'm just going to mention this particular table. 5.1 to 5.4, what information that is calculated automatically in the SR will be taken directly from this particular table. So we have completed the part related to faculty information. Now slowly we have to go towards faculty contribution from 5.5 onwards. Now 5.5, this is exclusively for tier 1 institutions. This is not applicable for tier 2 institutions. It is faculty competences in correlation to program specific criteria. The evaluation guidelines, actually it is expected that a tier 1 institute department can create the matrix of competencies of its faculty member in a format selected by the institute, and which should ensure the specialization of the faculty, research publications of the faculty, course development, the involvement of the faculty in the course development, and other relevant points, other achievements of that particular faculty. The evaluation is subjective by the visiting team based upon what the documents that you are presenting in front of the committee. This is applicable only for tier 1 institutes. Now 5.5 is innovation by the faculty and learning process. There are 21 for tier 2 institutions, and the same point 5.6 is there for tier 1 institution, and only 10 marks are given for tier 1 institutions. Now what is expected in innovations by the faculty in teaching learning? Contributions to teaching and learning are activities that contribute to the improvement of student learning. Now these activities may include innovations not limited to use of ICT tools, instruction delivery, instructional methods, assessments, evaluation and inclusive classrooms that lead to effective, efficient and engaging instructions. You need to take care that whatever the innovative methods that you are going to present, it must have some documentary proof, and you can put this particular innovative things which will mainly focusing on use of ICT tools or instructional delivery or instructional methods, or even in some case of assessment and evaluation. Now this 20 marks for tier 2 institutions, they are given by the evaluation committee in 4 different parts. The very first part is that the work that you are presenting as an innovative method, it must be made available on institute website. There are 4 marks just for the availability of these things on your institute website. There are 4 marks. The work must be available for peer review and critique. There are 4 marks. You should provide a documental evidence that you have taken some reviews of your innovative method. You might have taken feedback from the student, feedback from your stakeholders, and some critics and the action taken against these reviews and critics. If a sufficient document you could able to provide for that innovative methods, you will earn 4 marks from this criteria. 2 marks are given for the work must be reproducible and developed further by other scholars. So it is not like that you have just designed some innovative method. They will also verify that whether the benefits are being transferred to the next batch of the student or not. For that purpose, 2 marks are given. A statement of clear goals, use of appropriate methods, significance of result, effective presentation, and reflective critique will be given a 10 marks. What the committee is going to verify: availability on institute website. Not only the website, the committee will also ensure the awareness of this innovative method among the faculty and students of the department. During the visit, they may ask your students that, are you aware of this particular innovative method available in the department? If the students are quite aware, you will get the evaluation perfectly for this particular point. B and C are self-explanatory. I have already explained them in detail. For D, innovations that contribute to the improvement of student learning, typically including use of ICT, instruction delivery. I have already considered this particular point in earlier slide. Now, I'm just giving one example how you're going to present your innovative method. Now, every institute may adopt some different method. I'm just giving this as an example. You may adopt your own methodology for that. Your method should have a title. Your innovative practice should have a title. It must have some objectives or goals of the practice. You should define some context related to that activity. The practice that you are implementing, you should explain them in a short. You should also provide some evidence of the success, like because of this innovative teaching methodology. For example, I'm taking an innovative teaching methodology as project-based learning, and the evidence of success is that project could have the students could able to do good projects. They could able to win awards in the project exhibitions, or they could able to increase their participations in the various competitions. So this evidence of success you can show as the evidence of success for innovative technique. You should also mention some problems encountered and resources required. I have one example slide also, but looking at the time constraints, you may take it afterwards from the organizers. But these are some of the contents you must have. You should put in your design of the innovative practice. Now, 5.6 is faculty as a participants in faculty development or training activities like STTPs. There are 15 marks for tier 2 institutions, and the same point is 5.7 for tier 1, and there are 15 marks for tier 1 institution. Now, faculty score maximum 5 points for participation, and participation in 2 to 5 days, faculty 3 points, and participation in more than 5 days, faculty will earn 5 points. This is a table which is provided that you need to prepare in your self-assessment report. Just as a sample, I have mentioned over here, you need to put the list of all faculties. If the faculty has attended at least one program for 2 to 5 days, you can give 3 marks from your side. One activity only for one faculty. And if the faculty has attended more than 5 days, you can give 5 marks. Just make a summary for sum of all these things for all academic year, and use the formula 3 into sum divided by 0.5 into RF. I have mentioned this formula over here. For each year assessment, 3 into sum divided by 0.5 RF. Now, 0.5 RF, what it indicates, NBA expects that at least 50% of your faculty should attend faculty development or training activities in one academic year. Average assessment over last 3 years starting from CAY M1, and marks will be limited to 5. What are the contexts to be observed by the evaluation committee? Relevance of the training or development program. Whatever the FDP or STDP that the faculty has attended, is it really relevant to the program in which you are doing the accreditation? The number of days and the number of faculties, their participation certificate will be just cross-verified by the evaluation committee. But apart from that, the institute must seek a report from the faculty who participated in the FDPs and training programs on knowledge and methods they learned and proposed to use. The institute may decide a common format for the same. See, only attending the faculty is not merely important because you will earn a certificate. And I have seen on telegrams also many faculties are putting the message regarding attendance. Attendance is not important. What is important is what the contents that you have earned from that particular faculty development program. So if you make a practice in your department, give a presentation of what the things that you learned from the FDP, and you write a report on it and submit it to the department. If you produce this kind of document to the committee will be very happy that you are really marching towards the outcome-based education through the point number 5.6. Then 5.7 is research and development activity. There are 30 marks for tier 2 institutions, and very high weightage is given for tier 1 institutions, that is 75 marks as I mentioned. And this is the mark distribution of sub points, like 5.7.1 is academic research. There are 10 points for tier 2, 20 points for tier 1. 5.7.2 sponsored research, 5 for tier 2, 20 for tier 1. Development activities, 10 for tier 2, 15 for tier 1. Consultancy, only 5 marks for tier 2 and 20 marks for tier 1. Altogether 30 for tier 2 and 75 for tier 1. Now, what are the evaluation guidelines for first part, that is academic research, 5.7.1 or 5.8.1? Number of quality publications in referred SCI journals, citations, books, book chapters, 6 marks for tier 2 institutions and 15 marks for tier 1 institutions. Now, how will you present this data for the evaluation committee? You must have a list of publications for all 3 academic years under assessment period. These should start with good reputed publications with SCI journals, then Scopus journals, UGC listed journals, conference publications, books and book chapters. You should take a printout of every faculty member, their citation score from Google Scholar, their citation score from might be scopus.com site, and you can present that particular citation score in front of the committee. In B part, there are 4 marks given to PhD guided or PhD awarded during the assessment period while working in the institute. So some weightage is given for PhD guidance also. What are the contexts to be observed? Quality publication copy and the documentary evidence. You must preserve all the hard copies of publications which has been published by the faculty. You should keep in the file for the verification purpose. I have observed this table given in some of the evaluation report of the NBA that they typically want the count of papers published in SCI and ESCI separately, papers published in Scopus Index Journal, papers published in non-SCI or UGC kind of journals, papers published in IEEE conference or Springer conferences, books, book chapter, and the citation papers. Then 5.7.2, that is sponsored research. It is expected the funding amount which is calculated cumulative for 3 assessment years, CAY M1, CAY M2 and CAY M3. So CAY is not being considered over here. And if your amount is more than 20 lakhs, you will get 5 marks. If your amount is less than 4 lakhs, you will get 0 marks. What you need to provide is a list with project title, funding agency, the amount that you have received, and the duration of that particular research project. For tier 1 institutions, the weightage is little bit different. Even not only weightage, the amount is also very different. For tier 2, maximum is 20 lakh, but for tier 1, it is expected that if you are getting amount more than 50 lakh, you will get 20 marks. But if your amount, if it is less than 15 lakh, you will get 0 marks. What are the contexts to be observed? Documentary evidence, funding agency, amount, duration, research progress, and outcome. You should provide all related documents, documentary evidence to the committee to ensure the committee is definitely going to see the amount by looking at the transactions carried out, account transactions carried out between the funding agency and your institute. 5.7.3 is targeting development activities, 10 marks for tier 2 and 15 for tier 1. Under development activities, there are 4 parts: product development, research laboratories available in the department, instructional material created by the faculty, working models, charts and monograms. The department should make a list of the things developed and preferably create some posters. See, if you want to demonstrate the product development, you should carry out this product development demonstration in your laboratories with a proper poster presentation. One common mistake is observed over here during the presentation by the NBA committee, that we try to involve students also in the presentation part. But being this product development is addressed to the faculty, the committee is going to verify the involvement of the faculty in that product development by cross-questioning or by doing some questions to the faculty also. Context to be observed are self-explanatory. You need to see, the committee is going to see the documental evidence. During their visit, committee will try to see your research laboratories, your working models and the charts, and based upon that, the evaluation marks will be given. Then very important aspect is consultancy from the industry, where tier 2 kind of institutions are really facing a tough task to get the marks. But the weightage is also very less given for tier 2 institutions. Once again, the amount is cumulatively calculated for CAY M1, CAY M2 and CAY M3. If your amount is greater than 10 lakh, you will get 5 marks. And if your amount is less than 2 lakhs, you will get 0 mark for the consultancy. Similarly, for tier 1 institutions, if your this particular thing is same amount, if it is more than 10 lakh, you will get 20 marks. If it is less than 2 lakh, you will get 0 marks. What is observed by the committee? Documentary evidence. Documentary evidence which will show that you have received a consultancy from that particular industry. The details about the funding agency, what amount you have received, what is the duration of the program, have you conducted research progress seminars, have you presented this research progress to the industry members, there are documental proof, and what is the expected outcome from this particular consultancy project. So the evaluation will be based upon this particular points. This is for 5.7.4. Now from 5.8, that is faculty performance appraisal and development system. This is once again important at the institute level, but definitely it will be evaluated at the department level also. What are the evaluation guidelines for FPADS, that is faculty performance appraisal and development system? 30 marks are given for tier 2 institutions and 10 marks are given for tier 1 institutions. A well-defined performance appraisal and development system instituted by the institute for all the assessment years, there are 10 marks for that, and its implementation and effectiveness, there are 20 marks. So department should include the steps it has taken to develop the competencies of its faculty. It is what the expectations from FPADS. To elaborate more these points, what is contents to be observed? Notified performance appraisal and development system, appraisal parameters, the awareness about the appraisal system in the department with the faculty, and its implementation, transparency and effectiveness. How we are going to understand the awareness and the effectiveness? For awareness, the evaluation system, parameters and rubrics must be very well known to the faculty at the beginning of the academic year. Then and then only the faculty could able to perform on various aspects available in the appraisal system. If the rubrics or the parameters that it is not known to the faculty may not able to perform in one particular parameter, or could not able to satisfy the parameters which are given in the self-appraisal system. How they are going to see the effectiveness? It is not only the presence of the system, or you are going to take a self-appraisal form from the faculty. You need to evaluate that particular form. You need to give rough gradings also to the faculty. If the faculties are performing very good, you should give some appreciation letters to the faculty. Committee will also verify such kind of documental evidence. If the faculty is moderately performing in one particular aspect or one particular criteria, give the guidance to that particular faculty or documental evidence you should create for this particular purpose. You may ask your faculty to attend a certain FDP if he is lagging in one particular area. You should try to organize the sessions related to the research publications, sessions related to the funding, how to get a funding proposals related to the patent publications. All these aspects you should guide that particular faculty, and you should create a documental evidence to display the effectiveness of your system. This is just a case study that appraisal, one academic appraisal form, but tentatively, what this academic appraisal form should consist of? It should consist of all the outcomes which I have mentioned at the start of my session earlier. That it should have some weightage for teaching learning. It should have some weightage for publications, knowledge enhancement program, sponsored research, consultancy. Every institute or department should give academic targets to the faculty, should give academic targets to the faculty member related to all these aspects, or faculty itself should decide their own targets and try to see how much they could able to achieve it. Understanding of outcome-based education, interaction with the students and faculty, best practices, and any other significant achievement. This is a chart which is showing how many marks we should assign to each of these criteria out of 230 marks. This is just an example. You may have your own system, but you should ensure at least 50% weightage you should give it to the teaching learning process, to the knowledge enhancement, and to the research activities in this academic performance appraisal system. Last point is 5.9, that is visiting our adjunct emeritus faculties. The evaluation guidelines that your department should have a provision of visiting adjunct or emeritus faculty. There is 1 mark given for this particular provision. Minimum 50 hours per year interaction per year to obtain 3 marks, that is 3 into 3, 9 marks. So department should provide a report on the activities and contribution made by this faculty. First thing, you must have a provision of adjunct or emeritus faculty. Then you should appoint some adjunct faculty or visiting faculty. You should give at least 50 hours minimum load per year. Then and then only that faculty will be counted as visiting or adjunct faculty. You should be able to produce the timetable of that faculty, a report what the faculty has covered in this particular session. That also you can provide over here as a documental evidence. Now, visiting faculty is not necessarily going to conduct your regular course, but it may be also an advisor to carry out the projects of your students. That may also consider as a visiting faculty, but you could be able to show their 50 hours of engagement in that particular academic year. Even there is a single visiting faculty, if you show for 50 hours for that academic year, you could be able to get some good score for this particular 5.9 point. So the context to be observed are documentary evidence. So this is an idea about all the sub points of the criteria 5 from 5.1 to 5.9. I feel I tried my best to deliver you the 3 aspects: how to prepare the self-assessment report, what are the evaluation guidelines, and what documentary evidence you could able to create for all these sub points of criteria number 5, faculty information and contribution. So to end my session, I will just give another quote from Albert Einstein, that it is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken a joy in creative expression and knowledge. So that is a duty of a teacher, that is a duty of a faculty, and being a faculty of these technical institutions, we should be always creative in expressing our knowledge. So that is a supreme art of the teacher. So thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to part of this particular program. Now we'll take some queries. I will request Deshmukh sir, if some queries are there, I would be happy to address them. If I could not able to address your queries, you may mail your queries to me on these email IDs. I will definitely try to answer you. Deshmukh sir, that's all from my side. If there is any query.
Hello.
Hello, Deshmukh sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sir. Have you finished, sir?
Yes, I have finished my thing. If is there any query from any audience, any participants, I would like to answer
Yeah,
them.
I will have a few questions. I will just ask a few of the members who are present here. Okay. So just B Lavanya, I unmuted your speaker. You can ask the question.
I've been listening to the session, coming to the students' contributions to the research. I think they will also work, like usually in our college.
Yeah,
Can you repeat, madam? Can you
Yes,
repeat once again your question?
Yes, sir. Sir, in our college,
Yeah.
usually students will publish the papers along with us as a part of their project work. So, when coming to the publication of those papers, how does those papers contribute to this when they publish with us? Like, will they contribute to the faculty achievement, like contribution to the department?
yes, they will definitely get counted. The faculty should be the co-author of that particular publication. Then this will be also counted with the faculty. There is no issue. But the point that I have mentioned related to product development, there, if the product development, it is verified that what is the contribution done by the faculty in the product development. Otherwise, if a final year project, if you are going to show as a product developed by the faculty, then the evaluation committee is going to see the contribution of the faculty in that. Otherwise, for publications, there is no issue. These publications will get counted in a faculty contribution if they are published along with your students.
Okay. Now I request Deepak Agarwal. I muted you. You can ask your question. Unmuted you. Sorry. Deepak Agarwal.
Are you there, Mr. Deepak Agarwal? Please ask question.
So Vishal Wankhede. Vishal Wankhede. I think he is having not connectivity problem. Purushottam Bharambe.
Hello.
Purushottam Bharambe, sir. Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah, you can.
Sir,
We can hear you, sir.
yes, I have doubt in the very first table of faculty information, in which
Yes.
there is one column of, say, column related to association with the institution. So what is expected in that column?
Association in the institute, it is expected that whether the faculty is currently associated and in what capacity, whether he is taking full load at the department or a partial load with the department. So association we have enlisted in three different parts. It's association as a regular faculty or it's association as a contractual faculty. So you need to highlight these particular aspects in the association.
Suvarna Bisse, madam. Would you
Hi. Yes, sir.
like to ask any question? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Sir, I have 2-3 questions. One question is, you have said that faculty, if it is a lecturer, it will not be get counted. But if I'm audible, na? Hello?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. So by default, faculties, those who are in 5th pay designated as a lecturer, in 6th pay, they are considered as associate professor. So there won't be any refresh UGC interview or anything won't be get considered. So that would be considered as a lecturer, as an associate.
Yes. Your institute should provide that proof that you are being converted from lecturer as an assistant professor. Usually, all institutes used to do it at the HR level, and if they could able to provide this documentation, that is sufficient over there. But while entering the data in the table, you try to avoid its post as a lecturer, because at the moment you enter the post as a lecturer, it will not be considered for counting. Is that fine, ma'am?
Request Varsha Ratna Parki. Varsha Ratnaparki madam.
Yes, sir. Yes. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can ask your question.
Yeah, sir. I have
Yeah,
two
you are
queries. The
audible,
first one is while calculating SFR, do we consider the actual students or intake?
No, madam. For calculation of SFR, you have to consider the intake and actual admitted lateral entry students. That is, the direct second year actual lateral entry is 10% nowadays. So out of that 10%, how many students are admitted at the second year level? But
So
for
for
rest of the purpose, you have to consider intake, not the student strength.
Okay. And one more query, sir, regarding the fractional load calculation of a faculty. You have given the example why he is a professor, for example, having 8 as a load, 4 from the department, 4 from the other department. So 0.5 is the fractional load. But the case is, though the person is entitled to go for 8 hours, he is actually conducting 12 hours extra load.
That you can justify to the committee also. I have just given an example because a standard 8 hours professor's load is there. That is the
Yeah, yeah.
reason I have given. But the total load which is allocated, based upon that, you can just try to prove it to the committee. It all depends upon the evaluation member. Some members may.
Yeah, it's very subjective. At
Yeah,
each person tells every different thing. Okay,
yes,
sir. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
So one more question I have from YouTube part. So the how to calculate the experience of the faculty, maybe a 6 year in other institute and now she or he started in this institute, and how it is to be done that calculation.
Actually, experience is there is no any weightage for the experience of the faculty in all that criteria points. The weightage is given to the qualification. So if you want, you can put the complete experience of the faculty. Many times, even though there is no marks for the experience to be shown in that particular institute and 3 academic years. But as such, there is no weightage as far as the experience of the faculty is concerned.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks to all participants also. Thanks, Vaibhav Hendre, sir, for your outstanding presentation to cover criteria 5, faculty contribution. Especially thanks for covering micro distribution of marking system. That will definitely going to help to all participants. Also, it will prove very much helpful to access their marks, to find gaps, and to improve themselves in due course of time before applying for accreditation. So, sir, thank you. Thanks very much for your comprehensive coverage of criteria 5. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Now we have a 2 panel. Yeah, bola.
Bola, sir.
I would also like to thank all participants
Sir,
for
bola.
their active participation, and also thanks to the organizing committee for providing me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much.
Sutavne, sir, is
Yes.
here, sir.
So we have
Sir.
2 more panelists out here. One is Chaudhary sir, Dr. B.N. Chaudhary, who is going to have a session in afternoon